Hey everyone, it's Rob Ryder. Today a video about veterans. Did they serve? Then they deserve, because veterans are America's entitled class. That's a veteran speaking, by the way. I'm an 8-year active duty veteran of the United States Army. I don't owe anybody anything, and if anything, America owes me. And as it turns out, Uncle Sam's given it to us. It's there. It's just it's being hid from us. And I'm a firm believer that America's veterans, aided by veterans to be, shall save the republic from the democracy. So much so I'll put my name to it. 2019. Actually, Sunday, April 28th, 2019. Okay, so who's veterans to be? Well, duh, they'd still be in the military. I'm going to get the military's help to save the republic, the United States of America, from the democracy, the United States of America. All right, so let's just stop for a second in case you've never watched my videos and aren't aware of these, you know, the things that you're dealing with on a daily basis, the lies, the falsehoods, and so forth. Pull out some money out of your wallet and look at the top, and it will say, the United States of America. Well, the United States of America is the Confederation that was created under the Articles of Confederation. And in the very first article, it says that the style of the Confederacy shall be the United States of America, with the T capitalized, as opposed to United States of America, no the in front of it, not as the name. Well, that's actually a dominion of King George III and his successors. And so in the Treaty of Peace in 1783, King George III, in the very first paragraph, is describing himself. He says, United States of America is his. And nobody disagreed with him. So, right, that was the whole idea of the peace treaty, was King George always called his territory United States of America. Well, if we're going to go to peace, we got to find some way to coexist, and they did. We have these two venues sharing the same territory. And in the republic, those would be those who could self-govern themselves, and the democracy would be those who need to be governed. And they've shoved us all into democracy and are hiding the doorway to the republic. And so, the people that you think are in Congress are actually from the United States of America. They're not the United States Congress. They've taken an invalid, unconstitutional oath. Now, if you're in the military, you took an oath of office, right? You took it in your full legal name. Well, they don't. They don't take an oath in their full legal name. Well, then how do they have authority over me? Right? They're concealing their identity. According to the federal government, you have to use your full legal name, first name, middle name, last name, no initials, no nicknames, for official purposes with the federal government. So if you're taking an oath of office, right, you have to use your proper identification. And they don't. And it's really that simple, right? And, if you can get your head on that first, get wrapped around there, well, then the rest just starts to show itself as you're looking at it, because everything they do is by lie, cheat, and steal. But let's get into this a little bit more. Anyways, it's Rob Ryder's email address. That would be quarterrecord@aol.com. Phone number 616-712-6179. And of course, my real name is Robert Allen Retluski. So what I had been doing was I've been trying to find a way to enforce my rights as a veteran. And so some months ago, I applied for the first time. I'm 60 years old now, right? I applied for benefits from the VA. And I went and I had a hearing test, and I said I had tendonitis, and they gave me 10% disability, right? Denied all my other things. Denied. Oh, then I didn't really go to the test for the other things. I'm giving you the real short version of this also. The point for me was, okay, they've just agreed that I have a disability, and I can tell by the way I read the requirements to have an unemployability rating that I just need to be disabled and say that I'm unemployable. And then I should be able to collect the entitlement that's been made available to me by Uncle Sam. And of course, I knew they were going to deny it, right? But I wanted to have it done so that I could go and appeal it. And what I had found, they have their way they want you to appeal it. But if you didn't know it, there's the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. Well, this is a United States Court of Appeals. Right? This is a real deal court. It's like, hey, this is cool. And for $50, you can file a claim in the United States Court of Appeals. Now, they would make it sound like you can only do it for things to do with your benefit claim with the VA. But when you read closer, that isn't what it says. And so, here's the court, and you can file your own cases, and I did. So now I actually have two cases going here, but this is the one that just showed up this week, which is the reason for this video. So this is the General Docket, United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, case number 19-2728, Robert A. Ritluski versus Kevin J. Bartlett. Well, it's really not against Kevin, and I'm not Robert A., but, this is the way the court did it, so what it really is against the American Legion. And Kevin J. Bartlett is the National Judge Advocate of the American Legion. So he's the legal expert. He's the one that can answer. And so what you're looking at is that now on the docket at the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims is a notice of docketing for petition for extraordinary relief. And we'll get into exactly what the case is about and so forth, but in a nutshell, it has to do with the fact that the American Legion isn't following its charter. And because it isn't following its federal charter, I, as a veteran, I'm not getting the entitlements I should from them because of their corporation that's been, chartered by Congress. And by definition, so now it's a federal corporation. And by definition, the United States is a federal corporation. So the American Legion is the United States if it was properly set up. And the requirement is that they have an agent listed with the Secretary of State of each state to, for service of legal process, just like any other corporation. Well, as it turns out, they haven't done that. And so that's what my complaint was about. And I had put it in on the 7th. Right? Today's the 28th, so 3 weeks ago now. And it was just on the 25th that this showed up online. Right? So I thought they weren't going to do anything with it. I actually put it on the 8th. And boom, the 25th, all of a sudden it shows up online. Boom, boom, boom. It's like, hey, there's something going on. So I really don't know what's going to happen next, right? But I know that there's going to be a notice of docketing for petition for extraordinary relief. Okay, so, right, veterans have a real United States Court of Appeals, national jurisdiction, sea to shining sea for veterans' claims. And all I'm saying is a veteran's claim is whatever a veteran's claims that has to do with the United States. Because whether you knew it or not, under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, it says persons subject to this chapter, filing persons are subject to this chapter, and it gives a list of them in A, and then it goes to B, and it says the voluntary enlistment of any person who has the capacity to understand the significance of enlisting in the armed forces shall be valid for purposes of jurisdiction under subsection A, and a change of status from civilian to member of the armed forces shall be effective upon taking of the oath of enlistment. And so from the day you took that oath until the day you die, unless you rescind your oath, you're in the armed forces. And I got a DOD ID number, right? When I went and applied for VA benefits, they gave you a card. It's got a long ass number on it. That's your DOD ID number. Basically, I'm still in the DOD. All veterans are. So, if you're going to be responsible, then you're entitled, and you are responsible. A couple other things I want to show while I'm still here, or at this. So if you're a veteran and you've never done this, you want to fill this form out right here. Veterans Application for Increased Compensation Based on Employability. No matter what your disability is, or what its percentage is, you want to fill this form out and file it. Get your claim started. Because you need to do this one separate from another claim or any other claim. Right? This is for increase to unemployability. Form 218940. Because if you can get them to agree that you are unemployable, right, well, you'll get the highest 100% benefit that the military has to offer. And right now it's like $3,000 a month, plus full medical benefits, plus MAC flights, plus access to bases, an ID card. They're going to put you back in the frickin' military. Under an ID card, you can go on any military base you want to. Technically, you would be a military officer again. Or, officer, even non-commissioned officer, holding an office in the Department of Defense, in the federal government. And this time knowing the difference about what that could mean, about the authority you've been given. So one of the advantages is, anyway, so you put this in. This is the additional form, right? And when you fill it out, tell them you want retroactive pay. So this was the original reason I had filed with this court. Go look at it again real quick. Right, because I actually have two cases in this court. I have one for I was denied my unemployability, so now I'm asking for extraordinary relief, which is one of the powers given to this court to grant writs of extraordinary relief. And so I said, hey, I want to have my unemployability. So I want to spend a lot of time on this one. But just to show you that, this was all on this court. And this court is located in D.C., and that's what the doorway looks like. And this is in the court, right? They have 3 to 5 court panels. Well, if you have 3 judges in a federal court, that makes it a circuit court. 1 judge is a district court. 3 judges is a circuit court. And in this 3-judge court, which could have 5 judges and then become a Supreme Court, they do have 5 judge panels. All right, they got pews in here, and they got plenty of places to sit. And they're actually going to be showing these cases online. Right, this is all part of their system now. And what I'm hoping is, see all these seats right here, that the senior enlisted advisor to the chairman, that'd be Sergeant Major John W. Troxell, and his contemporaries would all go have a seat in the court during one of these hearings and find out how they're treating veterans. Because, Sergeant Major here, he's been a Sergeant Major for 19 years. Not in the military 19 years, no, he's been a Sergeant Major for 19 years. I want him to go hear what's going on to veterans and why Veterans Affairs are holding up entitlements and so forth. And maybe he can get, when he leaves this room where they argue cases, And instead of arguing the case, he can go get the thing resolved, which is what we really need. We need an answer. Okay. So I want to show you what I put in about the American Legion, just to show you I'm not, crying about something that doesn't matter. Give me a second to load that up. Hang on just a second. Okay, so in this court here, United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, under 19-2728, Robert A. Rutluski versus Kevin J. Bartlett, is a matter having to do with the American Legion. And, what I did is I put in a petition, which is really, petitions are civil actions. I've talked about this in prior videos, right? That a civil action is a petition. And so you petition for extraordinary relief, you're basically filing a civil action. And so what I did, where did I put that? Here it is. Right, here's what I filed. The United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, petition for extraordinary relief. Robert Allen Rutluski, right? That's who I am. I can't help how they put it online. Nothing I can do about it. But I'm going with the information I had available. And for him, it was Kevin J. Bartlett, National Judge Advocate, the American Legion, respondent. So technically, I'm going after the American Legion, right? But Kevin J. Bartlett, he's the National Judge Advocate. He's the legal counsel. He's the one that would get service of process. Well, he can answer why, right? State the precise relief sought. That was like one of the statements that they have in their blah, blah, blah about how you file a petition, right? Do this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I just filed 1, 2, 3. Petitioner seeks by the book registration of the American Legion, its departments, districts, posts, etc., in accordance with the condition, which is service of process, right, which is in its charter, 36 U.S.C. 21707, as found in the American Legion's Congressional Charter and National Constitution, and the proper registration of its members by full legal name into the Patriotic Society of Qualified Veterans. This voluntary association was created by Congress to represent. Petitioner asked the court to inquire into this matter, to ask the respondent to show cause why the American Legion is offending an act of Congress and public rights of its members, and to take charge of the American Legion franchise if its constitutional officers are unwilling or unable to cure the defects. Then the court administer the cure of these defects as needed. State the facts necessary to understand the issues presented by the petition. Well, it's simple enough. The American Legion is the United States. If you were to look at 28 U.S.C. 3002 definitions, the United States means a federal corporation. The American Legion was created by an act of Congress as a federally chartered corporation of a patriotic society with the stated purposes: 1, to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States; 2, to promote peace and goodwill among the peoples of the United States and all nations of the earth; 3, to preserve the memories and incidents of 2 world wars and other great hostilities fought to uphold democracy; 4, to cement the ties and comradeship born of service; and 5, to consecrate the efforts of its members to mutual helpfulness and service to their country. Right? Those were the purposes of its establishment under an act of Congress. Congress granted the American Legion's society powers to fulfill the American Legion's purposes, including the power to sue and be sued in courts of the United States, and to do any other act necessary and proper to carry out the purposes of the corporation. In effect, Congress created a national municipal corporation with its own jurisdiction, with authority and power in that jurisdiction. Congress conditioned the authority to wield power as the United States with one mandate, incorporated into the American Legion's Congressional Charter at 36 U.S.C. 21707, Service of Process, in which it says, as a condition to the exercise of any power or privilege granted by this chapter, the corporation shall file with the Secretary of State or other designated official of each state the name and address of an agent in the state on whom legal process or demands against the corporation may be served. This condition is not fulfilled. It isn't. Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution of the American Legion states, the name of the organization shall be the American Legion. And Section 2 states, the national headquarters of the American Legion shall be located at the site of the Indiana World War Memorial, in the city of Indianapolis, Indiana. A search of the Indiana one-stop source for your business, aka INBiz, that's the name of their website, results with no data found for the American Legion. A search of other states' databases of registered corporations results in the discovery of abandoned registrations of the American Legion and its subdivisions. I am sorry to have to inform the court that the American Legion has failed to follow instructions to register, maintain its existence as the United States federal corporation with the several states, and that by its own negligence the American Legion is opposing the United States Congress and is violation of its charter, necessitating the use of this court to inquire into the matter. Secondly, the American Legion is not registering its members using the members' full legal name. American Legion identification cards are issued using a style and name other than the member's full legal name. This defect in name registration denies members their acknowledged presence within the United States by the United States domestic government and all foreign governments. Members of the American Legion are denied their internationally recognized nationality of American national because they are not found in the United States by full legal name identification. This is why they conceal your identification and they put it backwards on your passport, because you're not in the United States then, you're in the United States of America. Only full legal names are recognized as identification for official purposes by federal agencies, as defined by 6 CFR Part 37. Concealing members' full legal name from official identification cards of the American Legion is a public rights violation, as members are not secure from seizure of their person. State the reasons why the court should grant the petition. Petitioner is a veteran of the Armed Forces of the United States, filing a veteran's claim with the court created by Act of Congress for such matters. By its Rule 21, this court authorizes extraordinary relief for claims against respondents other than the Secretary upon proof of service to the other respondents and the Secretary. Petitioner intends to provide proof of service upon the National Judge Advocate of the American Legion and the Secretary as part of the petitioner's initial filing to satisfy the court's requirement. Petitioner is petitioning an Article 1 tribunal on a matter of public rights within its jurisdiction, where it says, there are matters involving public rights which may be presented in such form that the judicial power is capable of acting on them and which are susceptible to judicial determination, but which Congress may or may not bring within the cognizance of the courts of the United States as it deems proper. Well, they did for us because they gave us a court for veterans' claims, and I'm putting in a claim as a veteran about something that's due veterans. Petitioner is a dues-paying member of the American Legion who, along with all other members, is denied the promised entitlements of membership. Members are denied appearing as American nationals within the United States and instead are stripped of their full legal name identity, without which members are nationless and have no official standing in with federal agencies. Members are denied bringing suit as relator for the United States, the American Legion, in the courts of the United States against persons who falsely claim authority from the United States or in other ways offend the laws of the United States and terrorize its people. Until these defects are corrected, members are unable to do their duty to God and country by fulfilling the stated purposes of the American Legion. American Legion registration defects are either an unintentional error or an intentional omission to deprive the American Legion of its power and authority to enforce the laws of the United States and deny members public rights. Either way, now that the defect has been exposed, it is a sin against God and offense against the country to not correct it. Petitioner is informing some judge or other person in civil or military authority under the United States at this court as mandated by 18 U.S.C. 004, misprision of felony, of an apparent felony, and is in anticipation of this court's use of its powers of persuasion to compel the leadership of the Voluntary Society of Armed Forces Veterans to do its duty to uphold and defend the Constitution and ensure its members is recognized as inhabiting the United States as American nationals, not aliens. And I added a couple of things in there. So, hey, what was that all about? Now they got a chance to make it a public record. Well, at the end of the day, right, there's a act of Congress that created the American Legion, that created it as a patriotic society of, you had to be a qualified veteran to be a member. But if you were, well, then you would be in the United States because the American Legion is the United States. It's a federal corporation that has the power to sue and be sued. Right? And so he gave it all these powers, uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. Well, hey, I'm in. How do we do it? Well, that's what they're hiding from us. That's why they don't want us to have this authority. Now, who's the they? It would be the people that are pretending to be the Congress. The people pretending to be your state legislator, pretending to be your governor, pretend. None of these people have taken a proper oath of office. They haven't used their full legal name. They don't have any fucking authority. Not under the United States. Right? Now, I don't care what their excuse is. Once they've been told that they don't fix it, well, now it's a crime. It may have been a mistake, but now it's a crime. And so this would be our veterans' doorway to bring these crimes to the light of day, because what the American Legion was supposed to do was provide this address for service of process, right, on whom legal process or demands against the corporation may be served. Well, that would be us as veterans demanding the American Legion, issue a frickin' arrest warrant. Now, it can't do it, but what it can do is it can put the complaint in as the United States into the United States court and have the United States court issue the arrest warrant. And that's how the craziness ends, because until we have these people arrested, they don't have any reason to stop. Right? Now, I'm not saying they got to stay in jail the rest of their lives, but, you arrest them. Put an end to it. Everybody gets a party foul. Second time, well, there could be some jail time involved. And the third time, well, there will be jail time involved. That type of thing. 3 strikes, you're out. So, where does that all come from? Well, it's in the National Constitution and Bylaws of the Charter of the American Legion and National Constitution and Bylaws, in which it says, right, this is the American Legion created by an act of Congress, federal charter, perpetual existence, the stated purposes that I read, who can be a member, what its powers are, right to use the name and emblems, service of process, right? Got to have it. And in the Constitution, the preamble, for God and country, we associate ourselves together for the following purposes: to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to maintain law and order, to foster and perpetuate a 100% Americanism, to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations, the Great Wars, to inculcate a sense of individual obligation to a community, state, and nation, to combat the autocracy of both the classes and the masses, to make right the master of might, to promote peace and goodwill on earth, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy, to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship by our devotion to mutual helpfulness. And by God, it says, the name of the organization shall be the American Legion, and the national headquarters shall be at the Indiana World War Memorial in the city of Indianapolis, Indiana. But when you go to iBiz and put in the American Legion, business name, no data found. You could put in American Legion, no data found. And so the American Legion is not following its charter. And so now either it can or the court can do it. So that was the reason for putting that in, and it sat for the longest time. Like I said, I put it in the 7th. Tick, 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 nothing happened, nothing happened, nothing happened. Go on, do other things, down, down, down. All of a sudden, on the 25th, this thing showed up online. So we'll see what happens with it. Okay, hang on just a second. Okay, so that's what's happening in the United States Court of Appeals for veterans claims. But like I said, I'd put it in on the 7th, and this thing had just shown up this week. And then, so in the in-between time, because I didn't know what they had done with it, I had tried a couple other things, or I'm trying right now, in other federal courts, right? These are just normal district courts. Under the idea that, the plaintiff is the United States. Its laws are being broken, right? And the other entity, person, yourself, is the relator, speaking for the United States. So you may be the victim of the set of facts that prove that the laws of the United States have been violated, but it's the laws of the United States have been violated, so it should be the plaintiff. Because if the United States is the plaintiff, then the Attorney General becomes your attorney. Right? And so we don't prosecute in court. We bring people for prosecution for violating the laws of the United States. And so, on the civil cover sheet, it has a thing here for U.S. government plaintiff, right? Well, how do you do that? Well, so I said, okay, I'm going to put United States in as the plaintiff, Terry Lynn Wilson. They're both be plaintiffs. And Terry's involved in a foreclosure where they've had a sheriff's sale, want to take her house. Well, I've done a lot of videos on all the things wrong with foreclosures and real estate transactions and so forth, and that they've never actually transferred you the title. They're not recording paper that needs to be recorded. Like your buy-sell agreement that is the only document in a house transaction that has been signed by all the parties. The seller signed it, the buyer signed it, and the agent signed it. Well, that needs to be recorded in the county records. And they're not recording it. And so I've done a video on that just previous to this, and I'll be doing one again here next week about what we're finding out even further. But I want to add one thing now about that, is the idea of what did the appraiser say? Because the appraiser of your property for the loan that you were supposed to have gotten, that appraiser is a state officer. He has a state license. So whatever he puts on paper for address and legal description and da-da-da-da, well, then that's what the state agrees it is. Well, if you look closely at a foreclosure or your taxes or anything else, that isn't the information they're using, right? And so we need to take them appraisal and say, no, this is the information that you need to have. And another thing is, they can tell you then if you have fee simple title and who the owner of record is. It's all on the appraisal form. More on that later. I didn't know that at the time when I was doing this. In Terry's case, she's already, in the foreclosure. I said, well, I'm going to sign it in because if the United States is the plaintiff, you don't pay for prosecution. So, hell, I'll send it in. So as you can see, I made the United States and Terry Lynn Wilson the plaintiffs. The attorney is the U.S. Department of Justice. You get that off the internet. Basis of jurisdiction, U.S. government, so I don't need to have any number 3, not dealing with that. Nature of the suit, civil rights violation, right? Because if it's a violating the civil rights, it means they violated a law of the United States, and the United States should be able to be the plaintiff. Original proceeding, yes, this is 42 U.S.C. 1983, deprivation of rights, privileges, immunity secured by Constitution. Right, that's the cause of action. Violation of an office of trust, color law, conspiracy for unjust enrichment, and offense of the United States. Right, those are blah, blah, blah causes of action. I'm getting a better idea of what I need to use for causes of action. Basically, the brief description of the cause should say probably trespass of the case. That's a common law term, and as it turns out, they're doing all this stuff under common law. No jury demand. Okay, so that was the cover sheet. And then I filled out one of these Pro Se 15, complaint for violation of civil rights, non-prisoner, United States, Terry Lynn Wilson. Complaint for violation of civil rights. These are forms that come off of the U.S. court website, so let's just fill in the blanks and see what happens. Terry Lynn Wilson. What I will point out is where it said city, this isn't where her mail goes, but Milton is the municipality that, she's associated with. So like in my case, my mail address has Rockford, Michigan, but I'm actually in Oakfield Township. So I would put Oakfield here as the city. County, right? Don't just put the word Rock County because that doesn't define where, right? Rock County, Wisconsin. There's only one of those. You can find that on a map. Right, telephone number. Who were the defendants? Well, the title team, that was the closing agent. Right, Rock County, Wisconsin, United States. Probably should have put United States even behind this, Wisconsin, United States. Right down to exactly which county we're speaking of. Official capacity, DITEC Financial, official capacity, judiciary courts of the state of Wisconsin and their official capacity. These are the folks that are pretending to be the circuit court of the state of Wisconsin. It's actually a business called Judiciary Courts of the state of Wisconsin. And if you were to put this phone number here into a search engine to find Dunn's numbers from Dun and Bradstreet, DUN number, one of the ways to find one is to put in a phone number. It would come up. So that's the phone number to the court. But if you put it in, it comes up as the Judiciary Courts of the state of Wisconsin at this address. Go figure. Who's this? Oh, these are the people that wrote up the warranty deed. And then, because I ran out of space, there's one other one, which was the foreclosure company or the attorney firm alleging that they represent DITEC Financial. Made them all defendants. State or local officials, 1983 claim. Because an attorney is an officer of the court. Right? So, hey man, you're a state or local official. So, I had to pick one or the other. So, under Section 1983, claims alleging deprivation of rights secured by the Constitution. So, what do you want to use? Well, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. And no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describe in the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Is that the Fourth Amendment? I guess it is. It's either the Fourth or the Sixth. It is the Fourth Amendment. right? Because they're going to seize her property, not under the name Terry Lynn Wilson, right? They're not going to use that name, and they're not going to use their name, and they're going to take her house, say her title's no good, which would be the papers, and the effect is they're going to, steal her frickin' property. So that was the reason. Okay, so what about it? Conspirators simulated a legal process before a private tribunal, judiciary courts in the state of Wisconsin, as Rock County case number 2018 CB 000136, Ditech Financial LLC versus Terry L. Wilson et al. To unjustly seize Terry Lynn Wilson's real and personal property. This conspiracy included the drafting of simulated legal documents with numerous Scrivener errors, fictitious names, and failure to comply with written closing instructions. That's enough. Where did the events take place? Rock County, Wisconsin, United States. That's the proper venue. What date did it happen? Simulated legal process was filed on 2/18 or 02/01 2018. And Terry Lynn Wilson's real property was sold to bank on 4/4/2019. What are the facts underlying your claim? Lawyers licensed to practice in Wisconsin, operating a private tribunal, falsely portrayed as a constitutional court, conspired with others to offend the laws of the United States, unjustly enriching themselves by terrorizing Terry Lynn Wilson, Rock County, Wisconsin, into coerced submission. Defendants used fictitious names for the parties, an attorney of record, to hide their true identity, or to hide the true identity of the conspirators and victim of this simulated legal process designed to seize the real property, securities, and escrow account rightfully belonging to Terry Lynn Wilson. No law of the state of Wisconsin is cited. Numerous styles of case numbers are used. Scrivener errors and omissions intentionally cloud ownership rights and fee simple title to land. No lender loaned any money. Terry Lynn Wilson's private note was unlawfully converted, securitized, and deposited as book entry, and her payments are escrowed. What are the injuries? If you sustain an injury related to these events, describe your injuries and state what medical treatment, if any, you required or did not receive. Okay, well, Terry Lynn Wilson did not receive the fee simple title to the real property as promised. Terry Lynn Wilson's full legal name was concealed from alleged legal documents. Terry Lynn Wilson has been insistently terrorized by state licensed court officers simulating the legal process. Terry Lynn Wilson's share of the public trust was unlawfully converted to others' use. Terry Lynn Wilson's good name was adulterated to conceal her proper person. Terry Lynn Wilson's reputation was slandered by individuals claiming an office of trust. Terry Lynn Wilson monthly payments have funded an investment contract not to pay a debt. Terry Lynn Wilson is held liable for a loan agreement that the lender never executed or signed. Terry Lynn Wilson, the receipt of the real estate transfer fee associated with the transfer title has not been acknowledged by the Wisconsin Department of Revenue, denying Caesar, state, just revenue, and Terry Lynn Wilson's title to the land. Because what they're not doing is they're not transferring the frickin' title. Right? They collect the money to do the transfer tax or transfer fee, whatever they call it, right? But they haven't hit the sale button yet. And as it turns out, that's what you need the other piece of paper for, the buy-sell agreement, because it's the other part of the indenture. And an indenture is a multi-part contract. Right? You got to have both parts. So the warranty deed that was put into the public record by the grantor and acknowledged by the grantor is his giving up his rights to the title. But it isn't the title, just his rights to the title. And he had fee simple rights, now he's giving them to you. But the title is the buy-sell agreement, because that's the thing that he signed giving it to you, and it's been witnessed by agents of the state, right? Because real estate agents have a state license. So they are your witness, but it was supposed to be recorded because all documents that purport to convey an interest or title in real property have to be recorded in the county. They failed to tell you that, and it hasn't been recorded. And so Bob in Arizona, he just went this week to record it for the first time, and it went in. And it's been 3 days now, and it hasn't shown up yet on the public site to see online. But as far as I know, he hasn't gotten it back yet that there's been any errors. And so, next week we'll find out, well, what's that all about? But usually they're pretty quick about you put things into the record, it shows up online. It didn't. They took it and said they, gave him a receipt that it's being recorded. I shouldn't say they gave him a receipt. He's got a credit card receipt, I guess you could say. Anyway, right, that they're not transferring the title. That's not happening, right? And these are all the things that are happening to you that as the buyer, you have a buyer's agent who has a fiduciary duty to you to make sure that the deal is done properly. And it hasn't been. So what's the relief? Well, Terry Lynn Wilson requests extraordinary relief, including but not limited to authenticating her fee simple title to the land in dispute, the return of her securities or current value in legal tender if the security has been converted, closing of escrow account associated with this matter, return her the proceeds and award damages the court deems just. On behalf of the United States, arrest those responsible for violating the public trust and revoke franchises of those offenders. Right? So the United States wants its relief, and so does the victim. And so this is how I had written it up, right? That I wanted the United States to be the to be the plaintiff. Well, a couple days later, on Pacer, I'm looking at her court, which is the Western Court of Wisconsin, and boom, hey, it shows up. Wilson, Terry et al. Versus the Title Team, LLC. And so I went in and said, sure enough, there it is, 319 CV 00295 WMC. Right, Terry's got a court case. Just going through the different pages of things that you can look at, and no other associated cases. No attorneys were found yet. Case location. Basically, I'm just scrolling through, clicking these things as I go through. Case summary. Right? And they got the plaintiff, Terry Lynn Wilson, and her full legal name, and plaintiff, United States. Nature of the suit, 42, 1983, Civil Rights Act. County Rock, origin, terminated, reopened. They got it as pro se. I said, well, that's not what we wanted. We didn't want it pro se. And well, it ended up being that, right, there she is, plaintiff, United States, still there. Well, they had issued an order. Plaintiff shall submit $400 or motion for IFP due by 5/7/2019, signed by Magistrate Judge Peter A. Oppenheimer. Right? So he's a magistrate. He's not a judge. He's a magistrate. He's saying, well, basically what he's done is he's taken the United States from being the plaintiff and made it in, and he's made this into a, where is it, right here, jurisdiction, federal question, where the jurisdiction we had asked for was U.S. government plaintiff. He changed it to federal question, and represented by Terry Lynn Wilson. No, I want the frickin', the Attorney General to be the representative. So, that's what they had done. It's like, okay, well, what do you do now when they say, damn it, no, and they don't want to go along with you? Well, they had in the United States District Court, Western District of Wisconsin. So on the website, for this court, they have orders and local rules and so forth. And, here they had one here, general order. A party seeking reconsideration of a ruling of the United States magistrate by a judge of the court pursuant to 28 U.S.C. section 636 B1A shall file a motion for reconsideration with the clerk of court within 10 days after the ruling. Well, there you go. That's what you need to do. File a motion for reconsideration. Right? Because if you read this rule, 28 U.S.C. 636, right, you don't have to take the order of a magistrate judge. You can, you're entitled to a judgment by a judge, not by a magistrate. So, like the magistrate, he's judging the facts, but the judge, he'll judge the law. That's the way I look at it. So I put one in, Administrative Order 168, United States District Court for Western District of Columbia, right? This is where it came from. Motion for reconsideration. Pursuant to 28 U.S.C. Section 636, plaintiff moves to have district judge review order of Magistrate Judge Peter A. Oppenheimer, dated 4/16/2019. The United States contests the order of Magistrate Judge and asks the district judge to reverse the magistrate's decision to alter the basis of jurisdiction from U.S. government plaintiff to federal question. If U.S. government or United States of America is proper title for the United States as plaintiff, then please correct the relator's Scrivener error and update the court records. If trespass a case is more accurately defines the cause of action, please consider it so. So basically, hey, no, we want you to go back and look at what the case was and say, yes, they are violating the laws of the United States, and the United States is the plaintiff. And so we filed this, and it's been filed, and it shows up on the docket now. And Terry called the court to say, hey, you got my motion, right? What do I need to do? Do I need to ask for a motion date, or do I need to notice anybody? And the clerk said, no, you don't need to do anything. The court has it now, and they'll make a decision, and, they'll do something. And so now we're in that waiting mode to see what they do. But they could easily decide that, well, yeah, the United States is the plaintiff, and that would make the United States Department of Justice the attorney, and I feel quite confident that Terry would get a remedy from a foreclosure. Right? So, let's not us try to be the plaintiff. Let's try to make the United States the plaintiff and say, well, the United States doesn't pay to have its case, its day in its court. Right? And the United States, when it's the plaintiff, all matters involving the United States are in Article 3 courts. Right? As part of Article 3. When the United States is a party to the proceedings. So, I have one more I want to show you that I did along the same lines, but it's one I did on myself. And so hang on just a second. Okay. So I wanted to try another one, right? Because hey, if I make the United States the plaintiff, it doesn't cost anything to put them in. So I'm going to see how many I can put in and see, if you get a response of some kind, either positive or negative, and see what you can learn from it. But by and large, anytime I filed, a complaint or something into the federal court, I've always get some kind of reply. And so like in Terry's case, right, we put it in and we got an order back, right? Said she'd have to pay. She wanted to go any further. And we said, well, no, we don't want to do that. We'll go ahead and put in a motion and see what happens. And now it's sitting there as a court case on the docket. And we're waiting to see what the judge comes back with. And so I did another one, and I said, okay, well, this time I'm going to call it, because right here it says U.S. government plaintiff, right? So, okay, well, I'll just, instead of saying United States, I'll say U.S. government. And Robert Allen Rutluski, relator, right? So I'm using the same address for the same attorney, the Attorney General. But this was against the county of Bay, which is in Bay County, Michigan. And its attorney is the corporate counsel at that address. Right? U.S. government as the plaintiff. And what did I say? Oh, civil rights violation. Yeah. Original. Yeah. 42 U.S.C. Civil action for deprivation of rights. Brief description of cause. Trespass on the case. Malfeasance. So if you look up trespass on the case, you'll see it's a common law. One of the early causes of action. And when you make it a trespass, that's what gets it into the king's court. Trespass does. So it used to be that a real trespass had to be done under arms, right? And was only talking about going on the land, but then they broadened it to be, well, trespassing on people's property, and we'll call that a case instead, and that you don't have to do it with arms. You just have to have done it. So what did they do? Right? They violated my rights. And so, another one of these pro se 15s, U.S. government, XREL, Robert Allen Rutluski, relator, County of Bay, which again is a business, right? If you put in the phone number that goes for the County of Bay and the DUNS to search for a DUNS number, well, you'll find that's their DUNS number. And so there's me, right? County, Michigan, United States. County of Bay, Bay County, Michigan, United States. State or local officials. Violation, 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. U.S. citizenship automatically granted to any person born within the subject and subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are trying to run away from that, but I'm not one of them, right? I'm going to the United States. So U.S. lowercase citizenship means you're a national. You're an American national. Your American nationality is granted to any person born within and subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. But they've taken that from us. Because if that was the case, they'd be using my full legal name, and they're not using that because that's what's on my birth documents. Robert Allen Rutluski. That isn't what they're using. Right, so that's a 14th Amendment violation. County of Bay is a business. Dun and Bradstreet number. It is not an administrative subdivision of Michigan. Its officers did not recite the oath of office mandated by the Constitution of Michigan in 1963, nor subscribe by full legal name, period. County of Bay operates in violation of the Michigan Penal Code. False personation. That's all I really said. I'm really, for me, if they give me that much room to state my case, then that's all I should need to do it, right? So I don't like to write books and stuff. I like to write as little as I need to. Where did the events give rise? Well, Bay County, Michigan, United States. When? On October 7th, 1958. What are the facts? According to a certain certified copy record of birth, the clerk of the County of Bay and circuit court thereof swore that the record of birth of Robert Allen Rutluski, that would be me, and the whole thereof is remaining in the clerk's office as record 2137, Lever F, page 2137, with the date of record of October 7th, 1958. The official record evidencing Bay City, Michigan, United States as birthplace and date of birth of Robert Allen Rutluski as September 5th, 1958, and the creation of the record. This official record evidences Bay City, Michigan, United States as the birthplace. The date of birth of Robert Allen Rutluski is September 5th, 1958, and the creation of the record on June 29th, 1963. This official record evidences the birth record of Robert Allen Rutluski was not made known to the United States as proof and evidence that Robert Allen Rutluski is subject to the United States by birth and entitled to American nationality. By Malfeasance Act, the clerk concealed the whole birth record in his office and did not inform the United States of its newborn subject. The United States was denied a subject, while the relator was denied his American nationality and ownership rights, titles, and interest in private property in the United States due a U.S. citizen. That would be your Social Security account. It's your property. Accounts and records have been concealed from the plaintiff, relator, and the world that Robert Allen Rutluski is a U.S. citizen subject to the United States. Relator is denied his internationally recognized venue, United States, and plaintiff is denied the sovereign's taxes from its subject as defined by the Constitution of the United States and Act of Congress. Relator right to self-determination to be recognized as a U.S. citizen is denied him by County of Bay, State of Michigan, United States of America, a foreign venue with no authority in the United States. See, County of Bay, State of Michigan, United States of America is not the same as Bay County, Michigan, United States. They're two different venues. This venue here, County of Bay, State of Michigan, United States of America, is in King George III's jurisdiction. And I don't want to be there. That's foreign to the United States. What's the relief? Plaintiff and relator claim writ of right and seek complete remedy and equity to cure defects in the common law causing this deprivation of rights under color of law and cutting the Gordian knot of constructive trust that cloud the rights, titles, and interests of real and personal property of relator in the United States. Certify Robert Allen Rutluski's nationality as an American national and provide passport and ID of the same. Render an account of Robert Allen Rutluski's unliquidated asset. Sell the same. Paid in legal tender. Offset any debts owed by Robert Allen Rutluski to the United States and deposit the balance of the sale into a national bank treasury of the United States in the name of the relator for his private use and enjoyment. Provide form of access in the name of the relator consistent with the laws of the United States. Revoke any charter whose authority is being held or being usurped by the County of Bay. And condemn the assets of the County of Bay to the United States. And all other relief the court deems just. So I put this in. God. It's got to be going on 8-9 days ago, and it hasn't shown up on their docket yet, and I haven't gotten it sent back saying there's any problem with it. But this is what I'm basing it on. This is my certified copy record of birth, which says, I, Stephen Toth, clerk of the County of Bay, and of the circuit court thereof, the same being a court of record having a seal, do hereby certify that the following is a copy of the record of birth of Robert Allen Rutluski, now remaining in my office, and the whole thereof. Well, if he has my birth record in his office, then the state never got it. See how that works? So you never appeared in the United States. And this was in, 1963 he's certifying it. And I was born in 58, so I had been disappeared for quite a number of years. In just a little bit longer, I could be presumed dead. Right? Because it isn't quite there yet. But, 7 years presumed dead if you don't show up. Right? And a certificate of live birth that has my name, Robert Allen Rutluski, on it. It's my full legal name. But that isn't the way it shows up in a passport. Or other places, it shows up like this, Rutluski, Robert Allen. Well, my name doesn't have a comma in it. Actually, Rutluski, Robert Allen, in proper case, or in uppercase, is the same as Robert Allen Rutluski in uppercase. It's the name of a business, right? It's your artificial person. It's not your natural person. Because your name doesn't have any commas in it. You got no punctuations. like that. But this is how they would do it to differentiate. Or you could say this is the way the Jews do it, because the Jews write from right to left. And so if Robert Allen is my given name, then that's how it would go in. It wouldn't be, Allen, then Robert. It would be Robert Allen, it's one name, and then Rytlewski, writing from right to left. But because of that comma, it's like, hey, that's supposed to be my business, right? There's me, and here's my business. And whatever that is still in these records, and I want, the court to go get me my damn records. And so, right, I haven't gotten like they did with Terry to say, well, then send us $400. There's no order been issued. It's not showing up in the docket anyplace. So we'll find out what's going on next week. So anyways, that was really what I wanted to show. Was did they serve? Then they deserve. They say it. Let's make them do what they say. Because we are veteran, you are Americans entitled class. And back to the beginning, if we could get them to the court to make the American Legion properly form itself so that it has the powers it was intended to have by Congress, well, it'd be a whole new day in America. Because every veteran could start sending claims to those addresses and have their cases adjudicated through the American Legion's own internal system, and then appeal it out to to the courts. But the American Legion has the power to use the United States courts, which means it would have the power to send something to the United States attorney, and they would have to act on it, right? It would be an official act instead of us trying to do it as private persons that are being concealed. Our nationality is being concealed from us. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. You all have a great day, and I hope you got something out of it. Stay tuned for more. We'll see you.